Hi, I'm Carol Fowler, the CEO at Transmute, where we're using decentralized identifier and verifiable credential technologies to make trade frictionless, digital, and secure. We're a global team of technologists headquartered in Austin, Texas, with expertise that spans industries from semiconductors to healthcare and all aspects of logistics. We're deeply familiar with the data and security challenges inherent in highly regulated, complex supply chains, and we're excited to show you how we're solving those problems today. Currently, supply chains rely on fragmented solutions that still require a lot of manual labor. Securely and efficiently sharing data across system silos is an enormous burden for both commercial industry and regulators, and the rampant opportunities for fraud, human error, and bottlenecks are costing everyone dearly. We solve this by transmuting trade documentation into verifiable credentials, which are totally digitized and machine readable, cryptographically verifiable and tamper evident, built on open standards and fully interoperable, and they're traceable across an entire logistics ecosystem without compromising data integrity. Transmute is an enterprise API company, and we offer verifiable credentials as a service. Manufacturers and logistics providers who choose us recognize immediate operational efficiencies and cost savings. They also achieve unprecedented visibility into their supply chain networks with use over time. Now, solving for the regulator's needs first is critical when you want to disrupt a highly regulated space like trade. And Department of Homeland Security's Silicon Valley Innovation Program has been an incredible partner for this. Over the last few years, we've had the honor of working with Vinny Annunziato's team at US CBP, applying verifiable credentials to the steel supply chain. As Vinny says, this is the first time we've had the technological means to positively impact both trade facilitation and trade enforcement activities at the same time. And he's absolutely right. Together, we found that replacing the way steel import data is managed today with verifiable credentials provides certainty about all parties involved in the supply chain. It unlocks the ability to receive reliable data earlier so that CBP can conduct pre-arrival processing and offer faster importer facilitation and benefits. And finally, having a clearer picture of the global supply chain means that CBP can precisely target activities that require enforcement, whether that's ensuring proper tariffs or protecting the American people and markets from counterfeit goods and nefarious exploits. Essentially, verifiable trade data is actionable data. And now I'll hand it off to my colleague Nis Jespersen, Transmute Solutions Architect, to walk you through more specifics and a demo.
Thanks, Carol. Here's a simple example of how documents are exchanged among participants of a global supply chain. In terms of standards, DIDs can represent the parties, many other things. Verifiable credentials to documents exchanged as verifiable presentations. Our platform supports this in a number of different ways. We have an intuitive web app for ad hoc users. We have a spreadsheet interface for business users doing bulk actions, and an API for automation. I'm going to take you through all of that in a demo, starting from a carrier issuing a bill of lading to a shipper, and then go from there. So here I am logged in as the carrier on the Transmute platform. At this point, I don't have any credentials issued yet, but I do have a template for bills of lading, so let's go ahead and issue one. I'm going to drag in the data and go next and apply a signature and issue the bill of lading verifiable credential. I'm going to share this in a way I wouldn't recommend in reality, but just to demonstrate the feature, I will make it public like this and copy the link and then share that by email or some other means. We're now going to switch persona and look at the platform from the shipper's point of view. So authenticating here, getting onto the platform, and now I'm going to paste in that link that we received from the carrier. That will show the bill of lading verifiable credential, the data, and we can go ahead and verify it. And if everything checks out, I will add that to my wallet. So that takes us through the Chappy flow here. And within the presentation, I will select the bill of lading credential and add that to my wallet. Now, if we go to the shipper's homepage, we should see the bill of lading credential along with a mill test report, which was received earlier in the supply chain use case, as well as a verifiable business card, which we'll get back to in just a second. But before sharing anything onwards from here, the shipper needs to issue a commercial invoice. And it's a business user, so used to doing most of the work through spreadsheets just like this. So they'll use the Transmute spreadsheet interface to issue this credential. It's very easy to do bulks. In this case, you could just drag out the data like this, and here you could issue 8 credentials in one go. We don't need to do that now. I'll just delete these back again and instead just change a value here. So let's say Mexico to Denmark, just to change the data in a little bit. I'll download a copy here and switch over to my template for a commercial invoice. Go ahead and issue there. Drag in the spreadsheet file I just exported from Excel. And it should show the data here parsed, and it says Denmark. That checks out. I'll go ahead and apply a signature. And we should now see the commercial invoice credential along with the others, the bill of lading, bill test report, and the verifiable business card. And that business card is our way of supporting, in a user-intuitive way, verifiable presentations. We call it Secure Share. So in this case, it's a business card received from Still Inc., which is the shipper's customer. So when I click this button, it'll take me through the presentation flow. Checking again here, selecting my wallet. And I'll select the invoice, bill of lading, bill test report, and I'll deselect the business card because I got that from the receiver, so no need to include that. And I sign here and go ahead with the presentation. Next, we switch to the third persona, the importer, which we call Still Inc. And in the Secure Sharing Center of Still Inc., we can see the offer that was just presented by the shipper with the credentials in it. Instead of going on in the web UI though, we'll switch to Postman because Still Inc. is slightly more advanced and do their processes through API calls. So this shared with me endpoint is the one that populated the view we just saw in the web UI with the presentation and the credentials within it. This code here filters out the credentials by type and stores them in these parameters here. So this one here is the commercial invoice credential and so on and so forth. The next call we'll make is to accept that offer, which puts the presentation into the Still Inc. wallet. Before reaching out to CBP, Still Inc. needs to indicate their intentions, which they do by issuing an intent to import credential. So once that comes back signed here, we will store that in this variable. In order to initiate the interaction with CBP, I'm going to call an endpoint on CBP's organization, which indicates that a presentation is available to be shared. This is a kind of authentication step and implements the traceability interop specification. The return object here includes, among other things, a challenge and a domain, which I'll use for signing the presentation in a second. Next, we'll construct the actual presentation, and we will include the 4 verifiable credentials, 3 of which we received from upstream, 1 we just self-issued, and sign it with the challenge and domain values that we just stored in these 2 variables. And once that comes back signed, we will keep that in a Still Inc. VP variable as well. The final step is to take that variable, that presentation, and pass it to the presentation submissions endpoint, again on CBP's organization. As a final step, let's see what this looks like from CBP's side. So we'll go to CBP's Secure Sharing Center, and we should see that presentation that was just offered by Still Inc., which includes the credentials. We'll go ahead and accept it, and credentials are now available in CBP's wallet, and they can go about the importing procedures. This concludes my demo. Reality is of course much more complex, with many more participants and documents floating around, but the core principles are the same. There's no doubt in my mind that these technologies are a perfect fit to instill trust in the global supply chain networks. With that, we'd like to thank you for your time. Carol and I will be happy to take your questions. Thank you.